What's up, NBA fans? This is NBA Now by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff, and on today's show, we are breaking down the latest surrounding Damian Lillard, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Toronto Raptors, and the Miami Heat because things are heating up, all pun intended, on the Damian Lillard trade market, so we got a lot to break down. Before we do that, though, I want you guys to subscribe to the channel. The NBA season is just a month away, and training camp is starting just this upcoming week. So make sure you are subscribed because the NBA content on Chat Sports is only going to increase from here. Plus, we're only 50 subs away from 343,000. So let's hit that goal on this video. All right, what we know on the Damian Lillard situation is, number one, Damian Lillard still wants to be traded to the Miami Heat, and he has not wavered in that trade request since he made it back on July 1st. It's always been the 305, and it will always continue to be the Miami Heat for Mr. Lillard. What's reluctant, though, is the Heat don't want to offer the house, and we've seen reports that Pat Riley is playing a waiting game here, and he's not willing to offer every asset the Heat own, which is Herro, Jaquez, Jovic, Martin, and all these first-round picks. We'll talk more about the Heat's trade assets in a bit, but they're reluctant to send the house. What is real, though, is Toronto's interest in Mr. Lillard. I got to be honest, I don't get why they are all in on Mr. Lillard because I don't think he makes them a championship contending team in the Eastern Conference, but we do know Toronto's interest is real. And the last thing that we know is that the deadline for Damian Lillard trade is this upcoming Monday, hypothetically, if you will, because media day for Portland is October 2nd. Training camp starts for the Blazers October 3rd. And we know that the Blazers do not want to take this Damian Lillard situation into training camp, into media day, causing havoc for the rest of the roster, just creating horrible chemistry. And it kind of makes sense, right? Like ESPN's Marc Spears reported that NBA GMs expect Dame to be traded this week before the Blazers media day on October 2nd. And all the reasons I just mentioned is why this makes a lot of sense, right? Like Shaedon Sharpe, Anthony Simons, Scoot Henderson. The three young pieces that the Blazers are going to be building around for the foreseeable future. Yes, they have Jeremy Grant and Jusuf Nurkic right now, but Nurkic is also on the trade block, and Jeremy Grant signed that 4-year deal. But those three guards of Scoot, Simons, and Sharpe are what the Blazers are building the future around. And do you really want to bring a 33-year-old disgruntled Damian Lillard who wants out of Portland really, really bad into that environment and create a difficulty of success for those young guys? Those young trio will not be able to grow and not be able to have the success this upcoming season if Dame is there stunting that growth. So I'll ask you, and cast your vote. It is today's pinned comment, so if the YouTube ad break hits, scroll down and answer it for me. Will Damian Lillard get traded this week? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I think he does, but the question is, what team will it be? Because the Miami Heat are interested in him, the Toronto Raptors are interested in him, and that is the main question. Who gets it done for this Damian Lillard trade? Because the Heat seem to make more sense. Dame wants to go to Miami, but the Raptors have jumped out of nowhere, and it seems like they could be taking him from the Miami Heat. When you start with the Miami Heat, their trade assets, I mentioned them a little bit earlier, but they go as follows. Tyler Herro, the 23-year-old shooting guard. Nikola Jovic, the 20-year-old former first-round pick from 2 years ago. Jaime Jaquez Jr., the 18th overall selection in this past NBA draft. Caleb Martin, who's coming off an unbelievable postseason run. 2 tradable first-round picks as we currently speak. That could change for Miami, but if they do not acquire another first-round pick or get protections lifted off their 2025 first-round pick, they could only trade 2, and then the Heat also have 2 second-round picks they could trade. But if you look at what the Miami Heat have to offer, right, like Tyler Herro is a good player, 23-year-old. Nikola Jovic is really young. He can be really good. But honestly, when you look at what Pat Riley is doing, he is playing the long game. You just see the assets for the Miami Heat on screen, but as I mentioned a little bit earlier in the video, the Heat president is reluctant to offer anything more than one of those young guys in first-round picks. There was a report flying around yesterday evening that the Heat have offered a package that includes Tyler Herro and 2 first-round picks, but they are not inclined to offer the house, which including Nikola Jovic, including Jaime Jaquez Jr., and potentially Caleb Martin. Does that philosophy change? And is Pat Riley going to cave into Joe Cronin and offer more of the Heat's assets? I think they have a very good package, although others don't agree with it. I think their package is fine. It's a question of how much Pat Riley is actually willing to give up and send to Portland. Coming up, I want to talk more in depth about the Heat's trade assets and if they are good enough for Portland to accept. But before we do that, I have to tell you guys about our new sponsor, that is Prize Picks. Today's NBA Now is sponsored by Prize Picks. And if you love sports, whether the NBA or the NFL or MLB, you have to head over to Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America and is available to play in 31 states. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you can pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get a first deposit match up to $100. I've had so much fun testing my skills during this football season, and I can't wait till the NBA season arrives. You see my picks on screen right now. I have Anthony Edwards more than 26 points per game this upcoming season. I have Paolo Banchero more than 21.8 points per game this upcoming season, and I'm just riding the more train with Bam Adebayo having more than 9.3 rebounds this upcoming season. And if you have similar skills to mine, which you probably don't, unfortunately, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps with the most exciting daily fantasy app on the planet. Another positive Prize Picks, they allow quick withdrawals and have easy gameplay with an enormous selection of players and stat types which make playing DFS so much fun. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. One more time. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Let's get back to the Miami Heat trade assets, because when you think of what they can offer, and I know I just said Pat Riley has been reluctant to send everything to Toronto, but Herro is a 23-year-old guard who has had multiple seasons averaging 20 points per game. He did it as a sixth man and won Sixth Man of the Year, and then did it as a starter in 67 games played this last season. He's only 23 years old. You can't try to tell me that's not a valuable player in the league. And I understand that the Blazers have 3 young guards, but you can reroute Tyler Herro to a third team and get more picks if the Blazers don't want Herro. But you can't try to tell me that Tyler is not a valuable player in the NBA. And then if you look at the other young guys, Jaquez was just a first-round pick, so he's worth a first. Jovic was a first-round pick 2 years ago, and his value has only gone up in the league so far. So he's worth the first-round pick. And then Caleb Martin, coming off that incredible postseason run where he almost won Eastern Conference Finals MVP over Jimmy Butler and was the main reason why the Heat got to the finals, he is worth the first-round pick because he's got an unbelievable contract. So when you look at Herro's value, the 3 young guys I just mentioned, and then 2 tradable firsts, you can't try to tell me the Heat don't have good trade assets. So it's all about if Pat Riley wants to pony up and send those assets to Portland and get this deal done. But now I kind of want to look at the Toronto's Raptors side of things, because they actually might have better trade assets than the Heat. And I've talked about how the Heat's assets are good, but the Raptors might be better. But I want to start with a report of Marc Spears, who went on ESPN a couple days ago and said this: everything I'm hearing is really, really quiet in Miami. The hottest name that I'm hearing right now is the Raptors, actually. Talked to 2 really high-ranking team execs today, and they said Toronto's the front runner, and they wouldn't be surprised if he, a.k.a. Damian Lillard, ended up in the 6-6-6-6-6. But will they do it? That's the question that we have to ask. They've done it before with Kawhi Leonard, who did not want to go to the Raptors, but Toronto and Masai Ujiri ponied up and got that deal done. Will they do it again? Because Dame does not want to play in Toronto. He doesn't want to go to the north. He doesn't want to play in the cold. They did one of his best friends, DeMar DeRozan, dirty. Does Lillard want to play there? And if the Raptors pull the trigger on a trade for Damian Lillard, will he do what he said he would and request another trade a couple hours later? It's a fascinating situation, and it's why the Raptors are holding off right now, and they're not sending their best assets for Damian Lillard because their assets are very good. When you think of what they did in this past NBA draft, they took Grady Dick in the lottery, the sharpshooting guard/wing out of Kansas. They also have Scotty Barnes, who's one of the best trade assets in the NBA. They have Achua, a former first-round pick, ironically from the Miami Heat, Christian Koloko, and they have an abundance of first-round picks as well. They can currently send up to 3 picks in 26, 28, and 30 because of that NBA rule that you can't trade your own first-round pick in back-to-back years. It kind of limits the ability to send a massive haul, but they could send 26, 28, and 30 alongside some pick swaps. But there is reports as of right now and rumors that the Raptors are not willing to include Scotty Barnes in trade talks. I do kind of understand it from the Raptors side of things. They're not going to be willing to offer the young player that Scotty Barnes is for Damian Lillard, who might not even want to play in Toronto. But the name to watch that the Blazers want and the Raptors could send is OG Anunoby. And there are rumors that Portland really actually covets a package of OG Anunoby, the first-round pick Grady Dick, and the 3 first-round picks Toronto can offer. So Portland seems to potentially like the Raptors trade offer better. It's just all of a question, is Toronto, going to actually send that up? But I have one more question for you guys that I'm going to answer. Is OG Anunoby actually more valuable than Tyler Herro? We know that the Blazers don't want Tyler, and apparently they want OG Anunoby. I don't really understand why. Because if you look at what OG and Tyler did just this past season, it is interesting to break down. When you look at Herro's points per game, he's averaging 3.3 points per night more. He also averages more rebounds per game, slightly, but he does, which would shock people considering Anunoby is a wing and Herro is a guard. Not shockingly, Herro averages more assists per game. What is surprising to people is that Herro actually shot worse from 3 this past season than Anunoby, but Herro is no doubt the better three-point shooter. But when you think of Tyler Herro, he is a better scorer at all 3 levels of the court. He's a better isolation scorer, he's a better finisher around the rim, he's a better mid-range player, he's a better three-point shooter. He's a better facilitator as well. Anunoby has been relegated to a catch-and-shoot three-point role a little bit in Toronto as the third option behind Fred VanVleet at time, behind Pascal Siakam, and actually behind Gary Trent. So Anunoby at times could be the 4th option. Obviously, OG is a fantastic defender and light years better than Tyler. But Herro is 3 years younger and is under 4 years of team control and is averaging 20 points per game as a 23-year-old. You're going to try to tell me that that's not valuable in the league? And I mentioned Herro's 4 year of team control. Want to know how many years of team control Anunoby has? 1 year. He has a player option next year. You want to know what that player option is worth? $19.9 million. And guess what? OG is a great player that is only 26. Is he more valuable than Herro? I don't know. But when you think about OG being 26 and putting up the numbers you just saw on screen, he's going to get more money on the open market than $19.9 million. So he is no doubt opting out, not opting in, and he will be a free agent this upcoming year, which makes me question, would you rather have a 23-year-old 20-point-per-game scorer that's under 4 years of team control, or would you rather have the 17-point-per-game defensive wing that you only have 1 year of control after? I'll ask you guys this, though. Who trades for Damian Lillard? Is it going to be the Miami Heat, who have allegedly been the front runners all offseason until this week, type MIA? Is it going to be the newly front runners, Toronto Raptors, type TOR? Right now, me personally, I'd lean Toronto. Why? Because I don't think Pat Riley is going to actually pony up and send up all those assets that I showed you guys on screen earlier for Dame. I truly do believe Mr. Riley thinks that he can win and the Heat can go back to the NBA Finals for the 3rd time, in the last 5 years with the roster he currently has. And I'll tell you what, this man right here, Joe Cronin, He is an absolute wild card, my friends, and he does not care about Damian Lillard whatsoever, because if he did, I feel like we would have wrapped up trade talks between the Blazers and Heat right now. He's a madman that does not respect Damian Lillard's wishes, arguably the Portland Trail Blazers GOAT, and I'll just leave it at that right now. That's going to do it for today's show at NBA Now. Make sure you do subscribe to us here at Chat Sports at youtube.com/chatsportstv. We're ramping up our NBA coverage. We have a great team here with great analysts. So if you don't want to miss out and get the best NBA coverage on YouTube, hit that sub button right now.